Who in their lobotomized mind over the last 3 starts for Patrick Mahomes and Mac Jones would take Patrick Mahomes? For the next 4 years, Mac Jones is on a rookie contract and knows how to play quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes is the most talented passer we've ever seen because of his arm strength and his dance around and his sidearm. There's a version of that game where that little sidearm Patrick Mahomes did, where it was off angle because he's being cute and he's playing baseball instead of football. Patrick Mahomes can't play quarterback. He sucks at quarterback. He's one of the most dynamic arms the league's ever seen. They've crowned him as better than Rodgers. You know, I saw clips after the Super Bowl last year. It's like, it's because we know when we watch him play, it's the greatest we've ever seen. You know, it's not. It's not. He's not consistent. He's not very accurate. He's not a great decision maker. You know, when Kelsey's not started early, there is no Kelsey. If Kelsey is not like your first pass of the game or your second pass of the game, then like the 7th, and then like the 13th, and then 15th, and the 19th. Like if he's not targeted 12 times and 3 or 4 of those don't come in the first quarter, it's not the same thing. He is not like Tyreek Hill. He cannot just get started on one play right at the end of the game and just change the whole game. He cannot do that. If he's not in a rhythm and if he's not built into a rhythm, if he doesn't snowball into a big game, he's never having a big game. He has to start early like a running back that has to carry it 25 times. Travis Kelce is a tight end that has to be targeted 10 times. He's just Adrian Peterson at tight end. If you don't get him going, there is no going. Patrick Mahomes is wildly inaccurate. Like he's not playing good quarterback. I said it a couple days ago, and I released the video before Patrick Mahomes played, and I'm about to get to Lamar Jackson. That like I would take him over Mac Jones if he played the style of quarterbacking he did in 2019 on his way to the Super Bowl. But then you're starting to get into money, and you're starting to get into other things. It's not just a universal. I want Patrick Mahomes at $500 million over any other quarterback. Just between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen's contract, I don't think I would take Patrick Mahomes' contract. Listen, he can't play quarterback right now. Like the most professional sports commentary in the whole world could just shit on this video. Like the Chiefs could shit on this video. I could post this on Twitter and Patrick Mahomes could shit on this video. He's inaccurate and he's playing around while he's playing. Like I get you're playing a sport, but I don't need you playing around out there. I really don't need you having fun. I need you to beat the fucking brakes off the other team and take it fucking seriously. Not take it seriously, but wish you got to play some other way. Not, why is Andy Reid telling me to always throw the football like this? You're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't associate bad attitudes with Patrick Mahomes. I've never seen him, I don't think, with a bad attitude or like bad body language. There's no Justin Fields bullshit coming out of his body language. Listen, the Chiefs are not a Super Bowl contender. Patrick Mahomes is not doing enough consistently. Like the only thing you could say is like, well, they're just going to turn it on. They've only had like 2 of those games all year where the Chiefs people think of. They're not doing that shit. They're not doing that shit at all. And Patrick Mahomes is great, but I'll say it 1,000 times. I want the most accurate quarterback, the smartest quarterback that's efficient and makes the right decision. Everything else is not fucking talent to me. Oh, you're 6'6". Go fuck that talent into the untalented basket. I do not care about any of these tangibles that make a quarterback talented. It's only the intangibles and accuracy. That's it. You have enough arm strength, or they wouldn't draft you into the goddamn NFL. Who's the most accurate? It's that easy. It's about that easy. This whole they can run sideline to sideline and throw 70 yards across the middle of the field, it has nothing to do with winning championships. It doesn't. It didn't with Fran Tarkenton. It doesn't. It doesn't with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson didn't win his championship running around for his life. He may have a play or two that like we've defined him by, but let's look at that. Joe Montana's most famous play is a scramble play where he's running around, jumps in the air to throw, and throws it for a miraculous play. That wasn't Joe Montana's Niners. It was on time. It was like turning pages in a calendar. It's like, oh, we know where we're going. It was all on rhythm. It was all on timing. It wasn't Joe Montana running around for his life, making some crazy, miraculous Fran Tarkenton Wilson uh, type of play. Like, no, it wasn't anything like that. I mean, it happened here and there, but it's kind of like when the police do something that's wrong. You have 99.9999999% of all their civilian interactions are completely fine, and we want to judge the entire system off a 0.000001 like failure rate. Like you're judging things the wrong way in football. And Lamar Jackson, I'm just gonna say it again, he oozes leadership. He's an amazing athlete. I think he's smart, but these are the knocks on him. I don't know how much he can verbalize a complicated pass play. I don't know how intricate they can even make the pass plays for him. He has the most communicating position in all of team sports. And he may be one of the worst speakers in all of American professional team sports. He is a millionaire. He needs to be taking speech classes as a franchise quarterback that's hoping to get paid $250 million. Their pay rates at quarterback are going to be putting these guys on paces to eventually be NFL owners. He needs to learn how to speak better. Period. Like if he were playing running back, if he just lined up and did what he needed to do, that's one fine. That's one thing, and it's fine. But it's the most communicating position in all of team sports. And he cannot quarterback yet. He's not a good quarterback. He's an MVP, not an MVQ. He's an MVP. He's a player. He reminds me of, like, my comp for him is like Terrell Owens, where it's amazing, but I don't think I don't know how confident you can be. Like, I'm overweight, but I don't know how confident you can be when you can't talk very well. Like as a millionaire, like you have to lead people. I get they believe in them. I get that they would go to war for them. I get that they tear their ACLs and smash their shoulders up to protect them. I get that they do that. I get that the coach believes in them. Like the coach loves them. Like I don't remember John Harbaugh just running around telling all of his quarterbacks, like, "Hey man, I love you." Like Lamar Jackson could win a Super Bowl. This version of him will never win one. I mean, he could go to 3 straight Super Bowls. He's not going to win one playing like this. Like it's unrosterable. It's unrosterable. This is like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson played Case Keenum, Mike White, stupid Taysom Hill football. Like it just stupid football. Stupid football. And honestly, some of these hotshot young coaches, they need to get their fucking offense to the line of scrimmage with like more than 5 seconds left. Like, are you reading off the fucking Odyssey? Are you trying to explain? Like, are you trying to interject? Like, so this is what a siren is. You know, they lure men to sea to their death, and then you continue with like, what the hell? How many notes? How much coaching and play call are you really trying to get into these guys? It's just I didn't watch it yesterday, so I don't know if the Rams continued this issue. But like some of the things I saw or listened to that the Cardinals did on radio yesterday, like those are coaching mistakes. Like you're taking too long to get the play call in week 13. Best team in football. I don't know. I keep telling you people, the stylistic play that how Tom Brady plays, how Mac Jones plays, And listen, yesterday I said Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins lost to the winless Lions yesterday, but he's overpaid. Jimmy Garoppolo, I wouldn't say he's overpaid, but I don't. I mean, he's just not the winner that Tom Brady is. I think he could have been with Bill Belichick because he plays like Brady. Do I think that I could go put Lamar Jackson? The Patriots would have 3 or 4 less wins this year with Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson, amazingly so, in a fashion that we've never seen before, that excites tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world. A billion people may know who he is, doesn't know how to play the position. He's won an MVP playing a position he doesn't know how to play. Mahomes did that too. So did Cam Newton, to be honest. And it's amazing that like Tom Brady's going to probably win the MVP at 43. Mac Jones, I'm like this is what I'd say. You have to overcome the refs. Uh, there's not a team that's more doctored verbally and protected verbally and carefully explained to the audience about all their mishaps than the Chiefs. The Chiefs are, I believe, the organization, the TV show brand name, NFL, like the TV show that's called NFL football. That, like the creators of that show, the board of directors of Disney that makes the TV shows for the NFL, like the owners, the organization, the Goodell, the offices. I think the general favorite NFL team by the NFL is the Chiefs. I expect them to get some calls to mitigate how wildly inconsistent they are when no one understands that they're inconsistent. Really, like the average fan just thinks Patrick Mahomes is like flawlessly great. And therefore, if they fail and look like shit, it doesn't make sense to that fan. They don't know what's happening. They don't understand that the Chiefs don't play with very good fundamentals on offense because it starts at quarterback and the quarterback doesn't play with fundamentals. Like high, keep your elbow in. Like, I'm not saying that's it. I'm not saying I'm Jordan Palmer and I know how to teach people how to play quarterback, but this is not football. That's get that fucker a frisbee. I mean, I'm from Kansas City. Like Alex Smith to this day is a better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick. He's a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. They're just a part of the light that everyone's blinded by. Blinded by the light. Like Patrick Mahomes is not very good. I wouldn't. I questioned yesterday whether or not I'd take him over Mac Jones. Mac Jones would have to throw 7 interceptions and look like the most helpless, unworthy person to ever take a snap from a center tomorrow for me to change my mind. This whole like Pats minus 2.5. I don't know what the over under is on the Bills game. Listen, when Ronda Rousey was in a match with Holly Holm, and I had already suffered the 2007 Patriots Super Bowl season as a fan of the Patriots. I didn't suffer that season, but like the Super Bowl, we have a faced person like that should have been ruled down but wasn't, and then he threw a catch to someone that should have not caught it, but he caught it, and then they won the game. Plaxico Burress threw Eli Hobbs or Ellis Hobbs, Eli Hobbs. He threw Hobbs down to the ground to go get the game-winning Super Bowl catch. You got to play through that. You can't let someone bigger than you throw you down to the ground in a game where they're not going to throw every penalty. You have to win the fist fight. You're not going to win this like there's a like it's not a chess game in the Super Bowl like where you can only do what you're allowed to do only. They're like I just saw it against the Steelers and the Ravens. They might as well have turned the rules off. It's like a Madden game, like, oh, we're just going to turn the injuries off. The referees are just going to turn the rules off because the two teams are playing too aggressive and too mean. And if you have the rules as they were read off in the rule book. You're going to flag these overly aggressive teams into oblivion, into a shitty game that's a bad product to watch. And they started doing that 2, 3, 4, however many years ago. There was there's a linebacker for the Bengals that basically illegally hit people out of the league. And then like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a period of time where like refs kept the Ravens, Bengals, Steelers from basically knocking each other's heads off and really flagged them. But for the most part, in division games, they let teams play their style. Like the Legion of Boom in the like 2012, 13, 14, 15, they played more physical in coverage than the rules really allow. If you're a fan favorite team, the NFL will let you play your style to some degree. They'll let you push the rules in the area that you've clearly built your team, like how they built their team with Brandon Browner and Richard Sherman. If they did not play physical down the field, like Mel Blount, not that, hey, Mel Blount was like first team All Pro after they put in the Mel Blount rule, but they played more physical than the rules allowed. And every team that ever played those guys needed to have known that, and they needed to have like been making their wide receivers drive sleds during the week almost. Like they needed their wide receivers to know that the refs were going to let them bully you up and down the field way past 5 yards. I'm not saying they cheated. I'm just saying you had to have known, like you're in a TV show. Like they're putting on a show. Like they want you, it's a game. It's supposed to be competitive and fair, and they have rules. But other than a handful of calls a year, the refs really aren't deciding football games. You either weren't tough enough or smart enough to get it done, or like 3 or 4 times the refs completely took the momentum out of someone. Like that illegal block in the back in the Cowboys-Saints game where the tight end goes across the front from the right side to the left side going away from the line of scrimmage within the tackle box. I didn't even know you could have a blindside block in the tackle box. That's clearly a reference to you can't do it on a pass play. Like you can do it pulling tight to the line of scrimmage on a run play. You can do it from the fullback, but if you're just going to pull backwards, if the right guard were to open up to 5 o'clock and just run like on a backwards angle as if he were going to run back to be lined up next with the quarterback, and he's just going to cornhole some defensive end that wasn't ever blocked by the D end, looks like they're going to call penalties on that. Whether that's the rule or not, the teams need to know that. Last night, Vic Fangio, possession of the football, they have to catch the ball, secure the ball, get 2 steps, and make a football move. And I think it's then make a football move. Like the football move is not on the second step. For Vic Fangio to have challenged that Travis Kelce drop last night because he believed it was a fumble, I didn't know what he was doing from the very beginning. They have to have enough evidence to overturn it. One, I had no vibe of that. Besides the fact that by the written rule, like that was not a catch by the definition of the rule. And then you want to challenge them for them to say that they were wrong. It's not going to happen. Like they had it exactly right, and it's super quick, instant drop. As quick as any other drop, but it looked like a catch and fumble, but it did not meet the rules of a catch and fumble, and that's not hindsight. That coach should have fucking known that before. That should have been very clear. Whoever he has appointed on his staff to be paying attention to these things in the booth forum, or to be a second set of eyes or third set of eyes, not that they even do that, but bad football. I'm not really impressed with like a lot of these teams playing inconsistent football. I'm looking at like the AFC. All 4 division winners are 8-4. 3 of them play sloppy fucking football, and 1 of them plays football like the team that's been the most dominant team in professional team sports for the last 21 years. I mean, I don't. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how people talk about quarterbacks because it's, like children in North Korea believe uh that their leader is who invented like pencils and like slanted school desk for students to more easier do their schoolwork. I mean, they think he invented like the Apple. Like they have like an American plane or something over there, and they're like, "We shot this down. We defeated America in a war." Their entire concept over there is so gaslit backwards that they are generations and generations and generations of the wrong answer. It's like their school and their parents tell them the wrong answer, and then their parents tell them the wrong answer with the school, and then their parents tell them the wrong answer with the school, and then their parents tell them the wrong answer with the school, and then all of a sudden everyone has the same answer. So to be right would be Galileo, which if you're not familiar, Galileo tried to tell people that they were wrong and he was right, and they locked him away for the rest of his life. Nikola Tesla, Einstein spent their entire ingenious lives explaining to geniuses, their peers, that they didn't really know what they were talking about and just ran circles around them the whole time. You know, like it's interesting how people have these concepts in their head, and I think what allows for it is that 99% of everyone around you sees it the exact same way. This whole Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, maybe Kyler Murray. Kyler's playing really well, but we'll see when it's like nut up time. Because collegiately, I wouldn't take him over Mac Jones. Stylistically, in the pros, I wouldn't take him over Mac Jones. Mac Jones didn't miss 3 games this year because they play him like a running back 10 times a game. I I don't know what people are looking at, but like Josh Allen's not more talented than Mac Jones. He's not. There's nothing that he does that's championship quarterback talent more so than Mac Jones. That's no like not with a gun to my head. You could get me you could get me in a film room with John Gruden, and we could go through Mac Jones and we could go through Josh Allen. We could go through. Listen, I don't have to go through an all 22. Patrick Mahomes can't carry the jock right now for Mac Jones. If Patrick Mahomes was traded to the Chiefs today, Mac Jones should make him carry his shoulder pads off the football field. Mac Jones, Mac Jones would not lose out a quarterback battle to Patrick Mahomes right now. He just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. And if I were Andy Reid and I had Mac Jones as my backup to Patrick Mahomes, and then that rickety sled that they're hauling around right now, there's no Ferrari in Kansas City. This is a rinky dink, beat to shit Pinto that someone tried to put a Ferrari engine in, and it's barely hooked up right. And it's and the whole car shakes, and it seems like it's gonna blow up. Like I don't really. I think next year the Chiefs could be better, but if Patrick Mahomes is not allowed to revert to the Michael Jordan, like run around, be a playmaker quarterback, if they don't get him back to that, or he adapts to playing quarterback correctly like he did in 2019, if he is continued to be like confused and inefficient and just like out of his element, well, a lot of these guys, they can't play unless you let them be them. You draft a wide receiver that doesn't practice well, music's not playing during practice, and you don't give him music during practice, his mind's not going to be right and he's not going to play well. And that's why I think you build teams like the Patriots where everyone's smarter than their counterparts around the NFL. Like I think I heard last night in the Steelers game that the Ravens had 8. Remember when I went 5-3? When you add them together, it's 8. 8 pre-snap penalties. I don't want to get too vulgar here, but like, so I'm gonna come up with a new saying here. I'm gonna back off what I wanted to say. I mean, I was about to say something I'm just gonna say it. I could have coached the Ravens to have less pre-snap penalties than that with John Harbaugh's head up my ass. It's I could have coached them to have less penalties with my head up my ass. Like, if there's a certain point, coaches don't do this, and it's like, and it really doesn't represent this scene in a movie either. But they in like a locker room where a team kind of puts their fucking foot down at halftime. Sometimes in a game, I'd like to see a head coach call timeout and say, "No, I want everyone fucking over here. No, everyone." I'd be telling the coaches, I'm like, if they fuck up this drive, if they fuck up this next play, I'm all of you spread out. If I'm going to call timeout after this play, and I want you to get all the fucking players over here. Every single one, get them the fuck out of the tent, get them the fuck off the bench. The special teamers, the injured players, the offensive players, the backups, the defensive players, the goddamn kicker. I want to tell the goddamn kicker right to his eye, if you fumble the football, if you have a false start, if you have an offsides penalty, the next person that does this in this game while we have the 1 seed is going to the goddamn locker room and you're not coming back. I'm doing that at four four pre-snap penalties. You have 8 pre-snap penalties in a game. Listen, John Harbaugh is great, but as much as you believe in one hand, how much do you question in the other hand? Like a Lamar Jackson. Like they're not a Super Bowl contender. The only Super Bowl contenders that I see right now are in the AFC. It's only the Patriots. It's only the Bills. Like the Bills, Titans, Chiefs are a pretty steep drop for contenders to the Patriots because the Patriots are more consistent and their quarterback's better than the other 3 teams' quarterbacks. Their coach is better than the other 3 teams' coaches. Their offensive line is better than the other team's offensive lines, and their defensive line is better than the other team's defensive lines. They're smarter player for player. And honestly, they're not as young as people think they are. So, you got guys like Donta Hightower and McCourty that have been to like 4 and 5 Super Bowls. They have a handful of players that have been to 3+ Super Bowls. It's not like they don't have any experience in what to do in a championship game besides the coaching staff. That's it. Yeah, I mean, like the 4 division winners, but it's really the Patriots and the inconsistent teams would have to get lucky, would have to have the one game they need in the playoffs to get it done. Like maybe the Chiefs suck all year, play the wild card game, beat their opponent 40-10, and they look flawless. Maybe that's what everyone's hoping on. That's the only hope because them trying to run the football and play football the way football should be played and play football like how the Patriots play football, they're not very good at it. Like they're not very good at it. Travis Kelce is not a good blocker. Patrick Mahomes refuses to not throw sidearm. Like, when's the last time someone threw sidearm? Like, did he throw sidearm in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl? Maybe he did. Maybe he did throw sidearm in that Super Bowl where he won. But what does throwing sidearm have to do with anything outside of baseball? Let's go to the NFC. Tom Brady's going to be the MVP of the league, which again should be another example that any single way that you want to play offense that doesn't stylistically represent something that Tom Brady would want to do, you don't have the right quarterback, you don't have the right coach, you don't have the right GM. Somewhere in there, you don't have the right people because they don't know what they're looking at. You build your offense to do what Tom Brady wants to do, and whatever player, left tackle can't get it done, you have the wrong left tackle. Whatever player can't do that type of intricate, intelligent, cerebral offense that protects the quarterback in the pocket and the quarterback plays with accuracy and efficiency is untalented nonsense to sell tickets. It just is. I spoke about it when I talked about the 7-foot tall player. Like in regards to a defense being the defense, every single terminology, philosophy, and all the like emotion that they play with, it's all offensive. Sack a city, it's the offensive term of war. Blitzkrieg, it's the offensive term of war. Tackle, takeaway. Takeaway is like the offensive term. It's offensive. Like we say offensive offense, but we don't say offense. Like, oh, I offended you. Like the offense isn't offending anyone. Like they're attacking the goal line. They're not attacking the football. In a sport called football, the defense is way more offensive and offensive than the offense. Baseball, the offense never even has the ball in their hand, and they're not allowed to touch it. They touch the ball, they're out. Like other than the creators and every single person since the creation of football views the offense to be the offense, it's not necessarily correct. I mean, it is, but I mean that's like my opinion on quarterbacks. Everyone thinks Jamarcus Russell's the answer until it's 4 years of suck. Like Patrick Mahomes loses 3-4 times in the playoffs in a row playing football like this. He's going to be the most overpaid. He's like it's going to be the worst contract in NFL history. Like it's getting really close to being really bad for the Chiefs. They're this close to being the best team, unstoppable team in all of football. But like I think their defense is a paper tiger. Uh, I don't think that they're like a tough football team. I like their right guard. I like their center. I like their left guard. Uh, but like even Tooney's not on everything on timing, a lot of variety, like screen left, slant right, draw, power, screen right, flea flicker. We're going on two, we're going on silent, we're going on one. The quarterback completes all the passes. We're taking the soul out of the defense. Tooney doesn't play on that team anymore. Like I don't know. This is what I think about Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes right now. And I don't care what anyone says. They're great leaders, they're great athletes, they're great players, they're MVPs. Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl MVP, I think. He's a Super Bowl winner. And honestly, when I look at them playing quarterback, I get that's their position. I get everyone that lines up like that is a quarterback, like on that play. Like if you line up how a quarterback lines up, you're probably the quarterback for that play. And they're not good quarterbacks. They don't know how to play traditional quarterback. They know how to play college quarterback. They know how to play like my arm's stronger than the like the wide receiver can't outrun my arm. I can outrun every player on the field. They're good like that, but they're not good like I haven't. Well, let me say I've seen Lamar Jackson in 2 games off the top of my head. I had to catch myself. He's definitely willed, in my opinion, his team to victory. I've seen him win his team to victory. Like their 2-minute drill, every time they're in a 2-minute drill, they need to run quarterback power. They need to just run the football and quarterback and 2-minute drill. Like they don't have the receivers. I don't think they have the pass protection. I don't think he can read the field. And honestly, they have half their defense 20 yards off the football. Run the football. Like no one can catch you anyway. So like, and that's how they did it with one game. And then the other game I think is the Browns game where he got hurt, went into the sideline. They got close. He came back, threw one touchdown. They win the game. It was pretty crazy. But and tonight, Monday Night Football, I am predicting. I think the NFL likes the Bills more than the Patriots. I would think the Patriots wouldn't have bad penalties or anything like that. Hopefully, the ball doesn't just bounce the wrong way against the Patriots. But if I were to look at the last 6 games of the Bills and the last 6 games of the Patriots, and I were to look at the last 6 years of the Bills and the last 6 years of the Patriots, I'm probably going like 28-17. And probably it was probably 28 to like 7, like halfway through the like fourth quarter or something like that. And the Bills like kick a field goal off a drive when the Patriots weren't really playing defense. They may get one touchdown when it doesn't matter. But I don't think the Bills end within 3 points. I don't think they win. I could be wrong. But they can only win on like a Holly Holm was not even like, and for the 2 weeks leading up to the Ronda Rousey fight, Holly Holm was like, I never even saw her face. Like, forget an interview on ESPN. Forget like a clip where they're breaking down her game. It was Ronda Rousey was going to beat the brakes off Holly Holm, and that's all there was to it. That's all there was to it. And The '07 Patriots. The Giants had no chance. They'd already beat the Giants. They were undefeated regular season by beating the Giants. Second team ever, I think, to do that. Uh, or I may be wrong, but I don't know if I don't know more if more than the 72 Dolphins have had an undefeated regular season. Quick digression: Manny Fernandez. Go watch him play football. Manny Fernandez is absolutely one of the top. I'd say he's a top 10 defensive lineman from the 1970s, and he should be in the Hall of Fame, and he's not. He doesn't have the individual awards, uh, but he was Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald, and honestly, Aaron Donald isn't as good of a player as Manny Fernandez. Like if you don't know who that is, you can go look it up. But listen, I was the first person on the Aaron Donald train when he was at the combine. I was the first person. I'm like, what, 6 foot, already has the leverage, is stronger than them, and faster than anyone they've ever played. Like you're questioning whether or not he's going to be an absolute freak of nature star. I wasn't. But you know what? He doesn't square up. He doesn't shed blocks. He splits blocks. He shoots gaps. And I don't like defensive tackles playing like that. That's how I like linebackers playing. He needs to give them back $5 million a year and be their middle linebacker. And he needs to lose he could play middle linebacker at 290 pounds. They need to switch to a 3-4 and let him play middle linebacker. Like this whole he's a defensive tackle but doesn't play with any defensive tackle responsibilities, and they just run toss left when he's on the right and he got ran upfield 4 yards, or they're running ISO left and like zone left, inside zone left, and there's a cutback lane. Well, the cutback lane is because you got pass blocked on the backside all the way into the backfield. Like it's nonsense. So I'm actually going to stop here. I'd like to do a video on the Rams. The Rams are a paper tiger. The Rams, OBJ, he's now a wide receiver. Like if you were coached by Bill Belichick, maybe, but coaches are that think that they need him and need to let him be him. Like I don't need cocaine boat party OBJ. I don't fucking need that at all. I don't need him at all. The whole problem with the Rams is they're built off 5-star players that don't know how to play their positions. I'm not impressed with Ramsey. I'm not impressed with Aaron Donald. I'm not impressed with Matt Stafford. I'm not impressed with OBJ. I mean, he's so forgettable for me. You all are putting him. You should have put Victor Cruz into the Hall of Fame for the first salsa dance he did off a vertical touchdown out of the slot, because OBJ's one fancy catch away from not being anyone that you give a shit about. It's kind of ridiculous that he's so talked about. I mean, he's the Johnny Manziel wide receivers, and it's just he's a joke, honestly. I think if he were in New England, the version of him that's in New England is kind of like the version of him that would have went to the Packers. It's like, hey, fit in, do what we ask. You don't be a star here. We don't need you showing off. To be honest, we think you're very, very, very talented, but honestly, we have to resurrect your career. You need us. We're the star, and you're someone that's, if the Rams got blown up and they blew up that roster and then they redid it, OBJ is on a quick, fast pace to becoming Deshaun Jackson, where you're just some cherry player. You're just some cherry player that teams throw out there to have a little bit more. And you're not the star. You're not a franchise wide receiver. I would never listen. There's not a wide receiver in the entire sport since Randy Moss's stint in New England that I would have paid top 10 money to. I would have if I drafted one, I would have traded him away for picks before I had to sign him. I would not pay top 10 wide receiver money for any wide receiver any single year ever. Ever, ever. Maybe a tight end. Maybe a tight end because you get more versatility out of them and you only have one or two on the field. But a position that you need 4 or 5 guys to make it through the year, 5, 6 guys to make it through the year, I don't want a $20 million wide receiver. 10 years ago, I didn't want a $10 million wide receiver. I don't want a top 10 paid wide receiver, period. It's not championship football. Like, you're gonna keep OBJ and re-up Cooper Kupp. What's Cooper Kupp gonna get? Like a 5 for 80, a 4 for 80, like a 5 for 85, a 5 for 90. Like, what is he really gonna get? Like, I don't want to give any wide receiver that kind of money. I just don't. Because you know why? Because there's hundreds of people each year that try to make the NFL, and there's not a spot for them. And they would literally sleep outside to play football. They'd sleep in their car. They'd cut off a finger. They'd run it. Like, there's too many people that are too competitive, that want it too much, that are within some sort of distance of all this talent everyone's always appraising for people like Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. has a lot of drops. He has poor body language. I think he's a poor person to have in the locker room. I think he's all about himself, and he doesn't have the production to act like that. Uh, I think he's kind of a sissy. I think he's kind of a feminine bitch, to be honest with you. I don't think much of him as a tough guy. I don't think he's a real playmaker. I don't think he's a star. I'm not trying to disrespect him, and I know that I just did, but like, I'm trying to make a point. I don't get paid to talk about football. I'm not coaching football. What I say, like, is whatever the fuck I want to say. And OBJ is not anyone I want on my roster. And this is probably a good cover. I'm going to end up covering the Rams, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. I'm about to hop off here. Like, I want a defensive tackle that like stops the run. I want a corner like Jalen Ramsey, but I wouldn't pay a like from a Patriots perspective. They didn't just pay Stephon Gilmore, who's like a technical assassin out there, like a Darrelle Revis, like perfect play. Does he get beat? Maybe. But everything that he did, there's no wasted steps. The footwork's perfect. The handwork's perfect. The mind knows what's going on. Jalen Ramsey, he gets beat like an average corner. And I don't care what anyone wants to say. He was star-studded, out of his league in college football. He went to the Jaguars, played pretty well as a rookie. Teams didn't know how, like, teams test these corners and they figure out if they're good or they're bad. Period. And you know what? They figured out that he was good. He figured out that he was the best ever and hated the Jaguars, was a cancer to the team, and they kicked him the fuck out of there, and they got 2 first-round draft picks for him. Like, and the Rams haven't done shit since they've had him. They haven't done shit since they've had him. Was he on the team when they went to the Super Bowl? Congratulations, you didn't do shit with it. Like, they're overpaid at too many positions that play the position the wrong way. If you don't play football like New England, I don't think you know how to play football. Like, if you don't remind me of a classic Ravens, classic Steelers, Bill Belichick team, or like the old Niners team, I don't think that you know how to build a team. I don't think you know how to coach a team. I don't think you know how to play. Like, and you're dealing with one of those 2 or 3 things. Like the Niners, they're not dealing with like they don't know how to play and they don't know how to coach. I don't know how well they build a team. I honestly think Kyle Shanahan is like coaching his head above water, like he's treading water. He's just like a man at sea. And it's like what he does in the run game schematically to make them competitive, like, is pretty impressive. But like, I'm not in that building. And I said it yesterday and the day before, or one of the 2 days before on a video. Like, if John Lynch were to interview me for like football research and development, which here's the thing, I'd be every team but the Browns and Bengals. I'd be every team's best research and development personnel employee that they've ever hired. Like that Tom Brady going up to Robert Kraft and saying, I'm the best decision you've ever made. I don't think there's anyone with an MIT degree or an analytics degree in football that would be better in football research and development than me. I think if a football program brought me in, taught me their program, the language of their playbook, and I started figuring out what they're looking for, what they're not looking for. I was self scouting my college football team like voluntarily as a freshman in college. I remember, and I said this, I remember going up to my coach and saying, like, when we're in an offset I formation in the H back, not a fullback, boy, that whole like, we're going to have one guy play 7 positions is like, oh, I didn't realize that you're going to take the fullbacks, tight ends, and the fat running backs, and then make them all the H back, and just use the H back for every position. It's like we had to sub these people out. The H back that was the fullback was the H back when we needed a fullback. The H back that was a tight end was the H back when we needed a tight end. It's kind of silly. It wasn't as effective as it was advertised. I remember asking the head coach after a meeting, I'm like, when we motion the H back from offset I to the other side, how come we don't pass? He's like, we pass. I didn't ask him if we passed. Like, like I asked him why we didn't. I was very aware that it was not in the playbook. I was very aware that it had not been a part of any of the game plans that we had, and I was aware that we had not ran a pass out of it. And the head coach was not aware of it. Was not aware of it. This is the same guy that ran me out of football. The school brought him in. I'm not saying they brought him in to run me out of football, but boy, it was part of what he was tasked with. Now I'll never back off of that. Like you have a fraternity jumping athletes in the middle of the night, and you have a freshman go to campus security, police, the president of the school, the dean of the business school, and the athletic director, and they basically all tell them that's nonsense when players get beat up back to back nights. And I'm hearing from seniors that this has been going on since they were freshmen. I'm hearing from like the guy on the couch from Half Baked. Like there was a football fraternity, and we kind of had like a regular guy. He may have been homeless, but he had been a part of that fraternity kind of for like 20 years. And he had told me that this had been happening for a whole decade. And they all ignored me. And I put an end to my black teammates getting jumped in the middle of the night. We beat the fuck out of those people. I listen, 19 years old, I went to the 50-year-old, I went to the 60-year-old, I went to the very law, I went to the police. I'm like, hey, would you just like sit someone out there for like an hour or something? Like someone needs to be watching this fraternity because this is 2 nights in a row, and someone needs to react to this right now. Guess what the third night in a row was? Player got jumped, went to the hospital. Guess what also happened that night? Every door on the outside of that fraternity got kicked in, and everyone inside there had the shit beat out of them. And I'm not apologizing for it. I tried to do everything the right way. I took every measure to do it the right way. And honestly, these same people had been failing every person before me for a decade. And they were collecting $1 million a year paychecks and stuff like this from this private university that costs you a shit ton of money to go to even play football because of Title IX. We didn't have football scholarships. Even though that we were Division I, we didn't have football scholarships because there wasn't enough female sports in the school to give the football team a scholarship in a mostly basketball school. Okay? It was a joke. And he ran me out of there because honestly, I was the strongest personality on the team. Not as captains. I was the strongest freshman you ever brought in. I was tutoring people in majors that I wasn't even a part of. I don't think there's anyone ever in football besides Paul Brown that would be as innovative to the training equipment and the loopholes and the like new ideas and new visuals as me. 7 foot tall player, thunder blitz, defensive holding, like design defensive holding by defensive ends, wearing multiple helmets and that have radios during practice. Those are just some of my big ideas. Like those are like that's not even me figuring things out because I work in your football program because every single day I'm around football watching football. That's just honestly I don't understand football better than a Kyle Shanahan. I don't understand football better than Bill Belichick, but I don't think they have as many innovations and true inventions to impact and bring football into a new era as me. And I'd say that right to their face. Like I'd say right to Bill Belichick's face. I don't think I know more about football or like stuff like that. But if I were to be learning from someone that knows more about football than me, with how my mind works already, they are going to get more out of me as a Ernie Adams, like research and development type of asset than any team has ever had in the entirety of football. I mean, I would say that with a gun to my head. I'd say that naked on stage in front of 1,000 people. I would say that to Bill Parcells. I'd say that to a Paul Brown. I'd say that to a Bill Belichick. I am not unconfident in saying that. And honestly, I think I can list off more crazy ideas in 2 minutes that actually make sense than most coaches or head coaches in the NFL could have ever came up with if you like paid them $1 million to come up with it. Like, go up to Pete Carroll. Pete, you've been in football for 60 years. We need to come up with something new that the league has never seen before. Yeah, some schematic run, some schematic pass. He's not going to truly innovate the game. Like that's not what's happening in football. They don't have true innovators. They're completely and radically changing the game. They're just playing a lot of horizontal motions in their multi-look run games that too quickly evolve into a only passing game where the quarterbacks aren't able to lead their teams with their arm. I don't know what's going on in the football world. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, the Rams. That's not football to me. You guys have a good day. Looking forward to Monday Night Football tonight. Pats are going to win. That's probably hindsight. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. But I think they're like, listen, Pats lose tonight and Bills win, but lose the next one. The Bills are not done for the next 5 to 10 years. The Josh Allen era is still alive. Bills lose tonight, Josh Allen era is over. They like if they lose tonight and win the next one, they'd have to win their games in between playing the Patriots again and then beat the Patriots again. But if you lose to the Patriots tonight, I've seen the Patriots like when the Patriots beat certain teams, that team doesn't get right for like 2 or 3 weeks. That like it fucked their mind up. Like they're not ready for it. They thought one thing. They were so in love, and their fiance just is in bed with their best friend, and they have their mind. They can't get it together. They have no idea what just happened. Like that's how I see some of these teams after they play the Patriots. Like the next 2 or 3 weeks, like we're just looking at the headstone. The Patriots buried you, and every game since then, we're just looking at the headstone. And I don't know. Hopefully, there's some kid out there that becomes a head coach one day that has only the interest in emulating Bill Belichick. I would never stylistically. I mean, I would if I had to. If I was a head coach and my general manager right before he retired drafted me some running back at quarterback, yeah, I'd run plays for Lamar Jackson too. But like, don't get me wrong, my backups would not. I would have a backup that was not his skill set. I would put myself in a position where I could have a backup come in and show that he could quarterback better than Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't give him the undisputed champion of the room. I wouldn't give it to him. I mean, but I don't believe in that style of football. It's not a leprechaun, but I don't believe in it. I just don't believe in bad football. I don't know why it's selling tickets, to be honest with you. Like the Eagles, I get that they won a Super Bowl with St. Nick, but like how they played football with Andy Reid, I don't think I don't have to think it. I know it wasn't championship football. Like they got lucky with Patrick Mahomes once, but that's not championship football. How Andy Reid wants to call football games, honestly, doesn't have fuck all to do with winning a Super Bowl. Like it's I don't know how hard it is. Like we had Roethlisberger, but look at some of these quarterbacks: Dilfer, Flacco, Manning, Eli. And listen, like when I say Manning, none of you probably think Eli. You probably think Peyton. And when I say Eli, I mean it's obviously Eli. But if I were to say just Manning, none of you thought Eli. You thought Peyton. Like Peyton, Eli, Joe Flacco, Trent Dilfer, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, like the most razzle dazzle we've had winning Super Bowls is probably Nick Foles, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Brett Favre. And Aaron Rodgers quarterbacks like a motherfucker. He's not just the most talented passer. Like Aaron Rodgers is the most talented passer I've ever seen. He's also one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. Mahomes can be one of the most talented passers I've ever seen. He is not one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. There's a difference. I know this is like, I'm trying to separate, like, can you see the water through the water when I say quarterback and passer? But I just hope somewhere someone understands what it is that I'm saying. Like, the intangibles are the only talent that I really care about at quarterback, and they're measurable. Like, they're witnessable events. It's not a ghost. It's not some dimensional, like something from another dimension, like brushed up against the back of your neck, something like that. It's right in front of your face, like just pocket quarterback play. Like, what in the hell does Kyler Murray have to do with the future of the position, other than RPO and some college concepts? How he plays stylistically has been around since Bart Starr, since uh, uh, Fran Tarkenton. There's been a lot of quarterbacks that run around. Running around for your life has always been a part of what some quarterbacks do. We've had the X factor for the Steelers. We've had Michael Vick. Michael Vick is retired. He's a 45-year-old guy. Now listen, I think the world doesn't give a flying fuck if some dog murderer is on TV, barely able to talk about football, especially about a position that he never really got that good at. Okay? Like, honestly, I don't need to see Mike Vick on TV. I want his family to eat. I want him to be a good person. I want the best for Michael Vick, but I don't think he should be on TV. Like, I don't think he's anyone to listen to. I think it's difficult to listen to him. I would say this to his face, that he's lived a fucking scumbag life. Listen, he didn't say scumbag things. He didn't he didn't think scumbag things. Like, he murdered dogs for entertainment. I could about slit his fucking throat, but we don't dispatch evil in this country. We make them leading men. We make them TV analysts and shit like that. We like, people don't know. There's one side of the politics, and I'm not. Each side of the politics has their villains, but and I don't like to get political. But like, there was a politician that was a pedophile, and then he got removed from being a politician, and a news channel put him on TV. Like that. That's what he got. So I'm not like everything around football, everything around everything is people really don't understand what it is that they're looking at. Like, if I had $1 million and I was in the room with Michael Vick, I'd beat the fuck out of him. Like, I mean, then I'd go serve like my month in jail or whatever, and whatever it is. But like, I openly disrespect Michael Vick. I don't fucking like him. I think it's a fucking joke that he's on TV. Honestly, Game of Thrones, Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay Bolton is more of what like how Ramsay left that show is how Michael Vick should leave a TV show or get the fuck off TV, because he's stupid. He can't fucking talk. It's not Nate Burleson. Like, it's not Kurt Warner. Like, he can't fucking talk. Like, he could be green, he could be purple, he could be striped, he could be polka dotted. Anyone that wants to hit me with some fucking R and R that they think I'm saying right now is stupid. Like, Michael Vick, and listen, like, I think he's a good person. I just think he's stupid. And I think what he did was evil. And I think that he hates it. I think he's moved on from it. I don't think that he should be like, I want the best for him. Like, I'm being sarcastic when I'm saying a whole bunch of dogs should be his end, but he just shouldn't be on TV. He just shouldn't. I'm going to wrap this up. This is an hour. This is my Monday video. I may do a video after the Pats game tonight. Thanks. Y'all have a good day. Be smart. Be safe if you can. Always do the right thing.